That's it? You're going to take it? Okay.
That's the first thing she does. That's her job. We're recording. We don't know what we're recording. Okay, that's where we've been working on that.
Okay. All right. So my name is Rachel Sardo. I graduated from SUNY Oneonta in 2005. It's been quite a while. I have a master's in physics, applied physics from Binghamton University. And after that, I went to get my teaching certification at City College. So I'm going to talk about like my professional life, but on a personal level, that's my dog Rue, and she's awesome, and she likes kayaking, and so do I. And I have a house upstate. Well, according to Oneonta, it's downstate. It's in Kingston, New York area. And then I like to travel. This is England. I went this past summer, last summer, and I had no idea there were mountains in England, so that was exciting. So I'm just going to go through. I'll talk about Oneonta later. Oh, also, I welcome you to ask questions. Whenever you have questions, you can interrupt me. Currently, though, I'm a teacher at Brooklyn Technical High School. That's what I teach physics. So I'm skipping Oneonta. We'll come back to Oneonta. But I got my master's thesis at SUNY Binghamton. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, and giving a thesis defense was really hard. And I compare everything to the thesis defense. So I'm I don't know, as you probably saw today, I'm very nervous about talking in front of people, which is amazing because I'm a teacher and I talk in front of people every day. And but this was the hardest talking in front of people thing I've ever done. And it was about anomalous effects while cooling liquid water. And I studied, I thought it was very interesting. The guy that I worked with, who was the health and safety, he wasn't a professor at SUNY Binghamton, but he did the health and safety, he was the head of the health and safety of the school. And he had this awesome laboratory, and he had all these wires everywhere, and we worked together like on this thesis. And he always says, like, he put it up on, I forget what the website is, but he's always like, they're always looking at your thesis, Rachel. And I'm like, really? He's like, people are still hitting it. They're like always like trying to view it. I don't know who's viewing it, but so what I did was I cooled water in it. So here's a tube, and I filled it with water, and I put this whole container, and these are thermocouples on the side. Like, this is just a drawing, but I had thermocouples reading the air temperature inside and outside the tube, depending on what experiment I was running. And I noticed that, so in a lake, you hear a turnover, right? At a certain degree, the warm water comes up, and 4 degrees Celsius, it's been so long. But, and I noticed that in smaller diameter tubes, so I did like a 5 centimeter tube, and like it would turn over, but like in a smaller tube, there was no turnover. So I like thought that was very interesting. And then if I added deuterium, heavy water, to the larger tube, it wouldn't turn over. So I had to try to figure out how to explain that. And that was mostly like, that was part of my thesis. And the other part of my thesis was, I noticed that when I cooled like the thermocouples in the air, it's been like so long since I've talked about this, just like, you know, but the thermocouples in the air, as the temperature decreased in the air, these oscillations would occur. And I was trying to explain like why that was happening too. It didn't always happen. Like, so it didn't happen with the 5 centimeter tube, it would happen with a smaller centimeter tube. So I thought like there was like a correlation between like the turnover and setting up for maybe thermal bubbles in the air that are rotating around, hitting the thermocouple, like the thermocouple. So that was my thesis, and that was the hardest moment of like presenting in my life. And if you're out there going to think about getting a thesis, I think I was super nervous. Then I had this one professor, and he just started asking questions, and I was like, oh, I'm the expert here. Oh, I know what's going on. So I'm the expert at my life too. So here we go. Yes. He's going to ask me some hard questions.
I've tried to do experiments where we need, air temperature.
Okay.
It's really hard to get temperature because it takes a long time for the thermometer to equilibrate.
Okay.
So how fast were your thermocouples?
So they respond really fast, do you think?
I actually don't really, I never actually thought about like how, like I would run I ran the experiment like without the water in, right, without any water in the, like, so I was like comparing it to, like, I don't know exactly what the temperature was inside the container without trusting my thermocouples is what I'm saying. I don't, is that what you're asking me?
Well, I just wonder how fast they respond, because that was a big issue when I tried to make measurements. But of course, water is a better conductor than air, so it would respond faster.
Yeah, but some of them, like, so these ones, the ones doing this, were in that air.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's a good question. You should have come.
Okay. So we're gonna get the heat on, yeah. All right, thank you.
So I know I didn't send you an invite. I didn't even, my husband, now husband didn't even get an invite. He tried to go, I wouldn't let him. All right, so I have a master's in physics. Well, coming out of Oneonta, I was studying Oneonta, getting my bachelor's. I didn't really know what to do. My mom was like, you can go work on Wall Street. There's programs for majoring in physics and they'll train you and, you know, in the financial, you know, I was like, no, I'm going to go get my master's. And that's kind of like why I got my master's. Then I get my master's and I'm like, I don't know what to do now. I applied to a bunch of jobs. The New York City Department of Environmental Protection gave me an interview. And so it was, they were asking for a master. So they were asking for 2 years experience or a master's, and they wanted your bachelor's in physical science, and then your master's in physical science. So, or like some other like chemistry, and then, well, that's physical science. I don't know, some other stuff, but they gave me the interview and asked me if I could drive, and I said yes. And they gave me the job that day, and they said, this doesn't usually happen, but you got the job. And I was like, okay. So what I did was I drove around New York City sampling these sample stations. I had a cool car with yellow lights on it. And I had a badge actually, just in case like the police were gonna say, I mean, they, at some point they were like, we should have badges. So like I had a cool badge. So inside, so there's 967 sample stations around the city. And there's sinks inside them, which I think I have on the slide. Well, so these are more sample stations. Oh, look, there's Wall Street. But like every single borough, like I've been to like all over New York City. Like I've seen every neighborhood. I've been there early morning times before the sun comes up. And there's a sink inside. And what we did was we tested. So I think many of you know, New York City water comes from the Catskill Mountains and the watershed up near here, right? Downsville, I think is closest reservoir, is it? I don't think.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Which reservoir is it?
Downsville? Oh, Cannonsville,
Okay.
like, yeah, Cannonsville, and then there's the Scary. Is that the, yeah, this west, more west? I don't know, I'm not good with west yeah. So it's coming from up, and so it's actually the largest unfiltered water system in the, definitely the country, maybe the world. I don't know, but so we don't filter, like New York City doesn't filter the water. So we have to constantly test it. This is like part of it. So every single day, somebody's out there testing New York City water. And I was one of those people having a rotating schedule, which means like you have off for 5 days. Oh, you work for 5 days, you have off for 1, you work for 5 days, you have off for 4. Like it just adds up to the amount of days that you have to work in a 3-month period. That's how they, like, I don't know, you have to know what you want to do 4 months in advance for, like, they give you, I don't know, it was tough. So that was part of the tough part. You're working holidays, you're working Sunday, Saturday, like so somebody's working Christmas, somebody's working like Thanksgiving, New Year's, like you don't have the holidays off, you're rotating with people. There's really was only probably like 13 or something, 13 to 17, I'm gonna say, people who were sampling this water. So what we did was we tested for chlorine, like so the chlorine levels, the orthophosphate levels, and the pH and the temperature. So the EPA has like this kind of it needs to be within this window, but the DEP was like even further in that window, which I think is nice to hear when I'm drinking the water in New York City. So so I would bring back samples and they test for bacteria, and there'd be another, I forget the other things they tested because that was it went to the lab after that. Yes, Dr. Gallant,
So those sampling stations, do they just have they're tapped into the water supply and they're just like a spigot and you would fill them up there?
Yeah, so there's it's kind of locked, but so this one looks like, yeah, there's like a hole on this side, and you would use this. I mean, I feel like somebody could go there and make their own, but you open it up and it goes down to the main line, and that's what, yeah. And then you use that same key to open it to turn the water on. You'd turn the water on, and we're supposed to bleach it to make sure, you test it first, then you bleach it to make sure everything's okay. And it's kind of interesting because, so I would have to also go up to the Hillview Reservoir in the Bronx, well, in Yonkers. I don't know if anybody knows Yonkers Raceway up there. Nobody knows, but so there's a reservoir where so further up there, adding chlorine a little bit, but then it comes down, and they're really adding the chlorine at Hillview. So I would have to test the water to see if it matched the readings in the gatehouses. And so that was one of my jobs, which I hated so much because I would have to drive this old van and it rattled so much. And it was I don't know, I think the worst part of this job was driving. And so that was one part. And I would have to fill up this cooler with all this water all by myself and get it into the van, and because there was an auto sampler there, so we would take it every single day. Somebody would pick up those samples every single day and make sure everything was going okay. But so they chlorinate the water there, and then it's interesting because chlorine dissipates as it comes down the line. So they have to rechlorinate at Staten Island. So there's a chlorination station at Staten Island. And every time you get to the end of Staten Island, that's going to be low chlorine, and you have to call it in and say low chlorine. And then they also rechlorinate at Breezy Point, which is Far Rockaway is on one side and Breezy Point's on the other side. So that was part of the job, going up to Yonkers, and then we would also have complaints. So 311, New York City, people that live in New York City can call 311 and complain about their water. So if your complaint, depending on what your complaint is, we're either going to test the upstream and the downstream of the sample station. So you can kind of see back there's another sample station, and there should be one up this way or one further down that way. So you're going to test the upstream, downstream, and a hydrant, or you're going to someone's house with somebody else. So the only time I really worked with another person was when I was going on these complaints. So we would have to go to the apartment together, and I've seen some really cool apartments when I had this job. The editor of Wall Street Journal, I think he went to his penthouse once, and that was pretty cool. But I this job, it's got kind of lonely. You're on the street, blocking traffic, people honking at you, and you're standing there trying to time it. You time a certain period of time, and it's just this is not for me. So, yeah, so the path is pretty crazy in my life. So then I'm how do I get out of this job?
How long did that last?
2 years. Good question. 2 years at the DEP. Yeah. And then I'm how do I get out of this job? And so I applied to another DEP job for upstate. I didn't get. I feel they didn't think I was going to actually move upstate and get upstate. And I was I love upstate. I don't know what you're talking about. And when I say upstate, it's not upstate to you, everybody in Oneonta. And you have to deal with, my perspective is New York City. And so then I applied to that job. I didn't get it. Then I don't know. My mom is a very helpful person who's helped me decide things. She's Rachel, the FBI wants you. So, and I love telling my students this, I applied to the FBI. So I was able to answer like, you know, because you have to, like, I don't do drugs, so it was easy for me to answer these questions, and they invited me to take this test. So I had to go downtown, and I went through the metal detector, I had to take my shoes off. The guy there was like, oh, this is a cool badge, because I was working in the DP at that time. And I'm like, gonna take this test, and so like there's 3 parts to it. There's like 2 personality parts and 1 like kind of LSAT kind of part. And before this whole thing, this guy goes on this whole talk about everything in the FBI, and I'm just like, do I really want to be in the FBI? Right before I'm taking this test, and it was kind of scary, but I do the best I can. But when you're taking it, it's like, what kind of answers do they want? It's so like crazy. These questions are like, it's like, if you see someone cheating, are you going to tell them? Are you going to confront the person cheating? Are you going to tell the like teacher? Like, what are you going to? It's like ridiculous. It's like, and then if you're like, so I read all this stuff about it before, and they're like, if you lie about anything, they can like take like get you in trouble with the federal government. Like, I was like, I can't, this is intense. But I failed the test. I'm sorry to say, but maybe not. I wanted to work in a lab. Like, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in a lab in New York City, in the forensics lab. And they said like at the time it was pretty cool, because they were looking for physical science, like physical scientists, lawyers, forensic scientists. That's who they were looking for when I was applying for the FBI. And I was one of them. I checked one of those boxes. So if you're wondering what you can do with physics, like this is something you can do with physics, join the FBI. It's pretty cool. And I do tell my students that I since learned, my sister told me about the Scully effect, and you know, Mulder and Scully and the X-Files. And like there's a study of like women going into STEM because they like the X-Files, and I'm that person. So I didn't get into the FBI, but I quit the DEP job, and I went back to get a teaching certification at City College in New York City, and that was pretty interesting too, because so there's teaching certification. After I had joined it, I found out that it's like a year and a semester, and you're only getting a certification. You're not getting a master's or anything. You're just getting a certification. So I was like, this is not right. I can go to Oneonta in 1 year and get a master's in education. What is, like, I want to have a job, you know? I think for a year and a semester, I can go to Binghamton and get a master's too. So I made a stink, and I went to the dean. Well, I emailed the dean, and they were like, well, you can just get a job instead of for that semester having a student teacher, being a student teacher, you can just get the job and student teach while you're teaching. So I've never student taught in my life, and somehow got the job. So yeah.
I missed something.
Yeah.
How did you decide to do this?
My mother.
So
Mom was,
FBI,
Yeah,
Wall Street,
yeah,
and
yeah.
teaching.
well, I said no to Wall Street though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she said, well, she's a special education. She's a retired special education New York City teacher, and she's always said, "Don't be a teacher, Rachel. Don't be a teacher." And then both my parents are like, "Don't be a civil servant. Don't be a civil servant." But then she's like, "Just go back to school for teaching." It's like, all right, I'll do it, whatever. So I did it. I know I can't make any decisions myself. I do apply to other jobs. I wasn't getting them. So I was like, okay, this is something I can do, right? And it was the scariest thing ever. But okay, so somehow I feel like this is the best teaching job I could have ever gotten. So I applied to a bunch of places. I was lucky. I got an interview for Brooklyn Technical High School. And I was on the phone with the assistant principal. He was in Vermont at the time. And he was like, oh, this all sounds very good. You have to go into Brooklyn Tech and talk to the principal, and here's the questions he's gonna ask you. And he like prepped me for like the second interview, which is like kind of nice of him. And I have stats on the next, like stuff about it on the next slide, but it was founded in 1922. At the time, there were no women allowed in the school. It was just all boys school. So one of only 9 specialized public high schools in New York City. There's only 3 that are for science. So students have to test into Brooklyn Tech, this test that is very controversial right now, but I mean, it's kind of like you're getting the best students. They like really want to be there. And it's the largest campus high school in the country. There's 5,900, like around 900 students, 5,900 students, sorry. And then if you're like talking, I got this from the website, 4,000 plus AP courses, students are like, they're taking APs, which when it's almost AP season, so it's gonna be a mess proctoring and teaching at the same time. And then like 313 total staff, like it's a big school, but it's still like also kind of small for the amount of people that are inside this giant school. Like when we're talking about APs, we're talking about all of the sophomore students are taking AP computer science. And yeah, and what else? Every student takes physics at the school. There's like not one student that doesn't take physics. Everybody takes physics, like either Regents physics or AP physics. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Some other things I think are cool about Brooklyn. Yeah, go for it.
Well, my high school had the same number of students as yours had faculty.
Oh, really? So I actually went to school in New York City too, and I graduated with 63 kids in my grade. So my husband told me to point this out. This is like not the norm for New York City. You may think there's a lot of people in New York City. There's a lot of big schools like this. This is like one of the few big schools. I think Staten Island Tech is pretty big. I don't know, there's a couple of them. There's not many. There's like a lot of small schools. Like there's a school and then like 3 schools in the school. So it's rare. This is the 4th largest auditorium in New York City. This isn't an auditorium that we're talking about in schools. This is like auditoriums that like they show things like, I don't know, I think Radio City Music Hall counts as an auditorium, you know? So it's 3,104 seats. That doesn't fit, but like the whole school at all. So it's pretty, yeah, I don't know, but they put on really good shows. And since you have so many students, you have some really talented students who can like not just do the science side, they can do the drama side and the music side. So this lobby, 1932 Works Progress administration mural. It's like the New Deal. You know, when they did the New Deal, they had people come in and draw, like they paid them to draw. This is actually my picture. That's not my picture, but so it's like the whole story, like the evolution of, I don't know, the tools, and I think the people evolving. I think something like a story like that is like the social studies teachers come down and like talk about it when they reach that part in school. So, and then something cool with the school. I was able to visit Brookhaven National Laboratory 2 times for professional development. And I was here. These are my pictures. It was really cool. I got to like go in the particle accelerator. Like it was not on obviously, and I got to go see it, and it was like super exciting. And I'm going in May 31st with the kids. We're going to go on a trip. I'm excited. So I made sure to get invited to that. So I'm like, we're supposed to do this before COVID. We're doing it now. So, and then these are also my pictures. This is like my classroom this year. So it is very high ceilings and it's hard to project. Like, so this is like, you know, desk, but then there's these lab tables in the back. It's a really big room. So these are like really big rooms where students like back in the day were doing machine stuff, and there was a foundry, and I mean, it's so historical working in this environment. It's really cool. But so Brooklyn Tech has majors, and while I was at Brooklyn Tech, so maybe like 6 years ago or something, maybe a little more than that, the physics department advocated to get a physics major at the school, and we got it. And
What does that mean?
so so it's kind of like college in that they have like a set, like core classes that they have to take to say that they're majoring in that. So there's mechatronics and robotics, there's electrical engineer, there's SSR, social study kind of thing, a law and society, which we have a courtroom in our school too. This is pretty cool. And I think you can like talk all day about Brooklyn Tech. And so we advocated for this physics major, and this year, I think 45 students signed up for it, and we're gonna have all of them in the physics major. Like, so there's gonna be kind of like 2 classes, but like, so the other one's gonna be filled with electives, but it's a lot for where we were going, which is under 34, but still running the major. So it's become more and more appealing to students to take physics. So it's pretty cool. So we have Regents Physics at school. We have AP Physics 1, AP Physics 2, AP Physics C. This is something else we advocated for, giving like a single period AP Physics C and a double period AP Physics C. So like half the 1 AP test and then like 2 AP tests, right? The E&M and the, what is it? I don't know, whatever the other one is. And what is it? No, I don't know. Mechanics, thank you so much. So mechanics, so the single period is just mechanics, the double is mechanics and E&M. So students that are in these other majors can't fit the double period in their schedule. So we're like, let's run single period physics C. And it's been something that students have been signing up for more and more because I don't know, maybe people like me are talking to them say, you want to be an engineer, take physics C in high school. Like, what is wrong with you? So then we have a modern physics class and an astronomy class also. So, but oh yeah, there's an aerospace major, chemistry major, oh, there's pharmacy major. There's just so many things. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Brooklyn Tech. And then so there's right now there's 15 physics teachers in the department. We're very collaborative. We have like very high level physics discussions. It feels like I'm in college still. Like it's pretty cool. Like so this year we took that picture because we're all we didn't plan that. We're all wearing the same Brooklyn Tech sweatshirt. And I don't know, this is another time we like hang out all the time. There's some teachers that aren't at the school anymore. This is the guy that hired me. He's awesome, Randall Barclay. And I officiated this guy's wedding to her, which was exciting. So I'm a minister too. So that was scary to do last summer. I officiated a wedding. All these like speaking things that I do, and I'm so stressed out about it all the time. But we work really well together and I have a blast, and it's like so hard to like think of not working with them. And then what's cool about being a teacher? Oh, so yeah, let's just talk more about being a teacher. So this year I have a student right now who's telling me, yeah, I took your class and I didn't want to take your class. It was in my major. Like, so he was a mechatronics and robotics major and they make you take it. And he's like, but I really like physics now. I really like it a lot. I like it more than my engineering classes. And it's just so great that like I'm like teaching physics and some people are like falling in love with physics and it's awesome. And I don't know. So we'll see what happens with Landon. But but I'm getting a like really strong like response of like they really like my class this year, and which is interesting because like all these students have like gone through, you know, the COVID times and this is a hard class. AP Physics 1 is like super hard, I think. And they really have to understand the material. Like you have to explain your answers. I don't know if you've taken AP Physics 1. I just took AP Physics C. I never did B, but it was so funny because they do the major fair, and the other teacher is I'm friends with her, and she's at the robotics major fair, and she's like, yeah, they were like all hyping up, oh, it's not that bad taking AP Physics, like you get Miss Sardo, she's awesome. And then she goes, Dean just like failed them all on a test like 2 days ago. And I'm like, yeah. But they were just like still excited about the class, which is awesome and like having fun teaching them. And so this year I'm teaching 2 AP Physics 1 classes and 5 Regents Lab classes. And all those Regents Lab classes are freshmen. So, so it's been interesting teaching the freshmen. I mean, I had a freshman class for a semester last semester. It's different teaching freshmen versus juniors, but yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm talking really fast. I'm sorry.
No. So they're freshmen taking Regents Physics.
Oh yeah, lots of freshmen taking Regents Physics. I don't know how many classes, like a lot. So
What more children?
Why?
I'm
Really?
trying for context. It's
Yeah, so I don't know how many.
You need a certain amount of math, right?
Yeah, so what we found is that at a certain, so the Common Core has kind of changed their math skills a little bit, and we definitely have to teach them sine, cosine, tangent, because they have no idea what's going on with that, like anymore. But should we go through it right now?
Yeah, please.
But yeah, so we know that we have to like teach them a little trig, but like they do pretty good. You know, just go, you just do it. They do it. They got it. Yeah, I don't know. Freshmen take physics.
I remember having you as a student.
Yeah, and I was not good at the math.
Oh, no, I just, so how if I said, just do it? How would that
I didn't say just do it. They just do it. They just do it. I don't know if they get it. Our freshmen actually perform, like some teachers are noticing that their freshmen are performing better than the juniors. So if they don't take the Regents Physics freshman year, they have to take a junior year. So if they've already taken a living environment Regents in junior high school, they can go to, they get put into Regents Physics and the other ones get put into living environment. And those kids take junior year Regents Physics. So we compare the data between the two, and sometimes the freshmen are performing better than the juniors, which is very interesting because at a certain point, they were complaining to the AP, like the parents were getting upset about there's really one teacher. I'm not putting anybody on the bus, but like a lot of complaints. And the AP's like, we're getting rid of freshman physics. And so then I was just like, oh my gosh, we have to now advocate to not get rid of freshman physics. And we ran numbers and we were just like, this is dumb. Like you can't get rid of like freshman physics. So yeah, anyway, so that happened. Any other questions about it? Freshmen can do it. They're smart. Yeah, they're amazing. I should have my freshmen last year, I wasn't a huge fan of them. But they loved me. So I had to leave them mid-year because I don't know. It was like coming back. I actually taught remotely. We all went home for COVID, and then I taught remotely the following year. And then I came back to school and I took on an extra class because my husband said, you should have discussed this with me. But I took on an extra class and I was doing 2 preps. And so I had 2 AP classes and 2 Regents classes. So that's 2 preps, and I'm teaching 6 periods in a day. And I was like, it was so hard. And I had these freshmen and I just I think they like me because I let them complain about because they're coming off of being remote too, and I was just letting them vent, and they're just like, oh, we need the space to vent, and I let them do it, and they were just so upset when I had to go. So I was just so another physics teacher left mid-year, and I was like, oh, I can get 3 AP classes and then only have 1 prep, so I did that, and one of the kids drew a drawing on me, and then they put together they had a picture all together and they signed the frame, and it was just so nice. They loved me so much. I was like, oh my gosh. And anyway, so I ended up 2 of them are on the e-board for the Environmental Science Club, and I just spoke to them on Tuesday, which has been a long week for me. But anyway, so Brooklyn Tech is awesome, and so the students are really cool. My coworkers are really cool, and then you get summer vacation, right? And my husband and I built this dock. This is our creek. the Silvis Creek and that house I showed you in the first picture. But now let's talk about Oneonta, right? So the thing I really liked about Oneonta, the professors, honestly, it was awesome that I could like come to you and ask questions. I know you were just discussing in the hallway about how I would ask you questions, and it was like such a nice environment. I'm still friends with some of the physics majors that I was in school with, and it's pretty cool keeping a connection with them. And what else? We were talking in the hallway also, if you wanted to know, I did fail a class at Oneonta. It was, should I say it? Partial differential equations. It's really tough. But I passed the rest of them. Advice to you, I would just, I feel like in this day and age, it's kind of like, I don't know, I think that there's like so much information out there, but I guess like getting the information in a smarter way, because like, you know, you have all these YouTube videos of physics that you can learn, and Physics Girl does pretty cool videos, but that was not there when I was like in college, you know, and all this stuff's there now, and I feel like you should, you know, I mean, learn through that way, and like make sure you're asking questions, and maybe I should have asked more questions, and I know Dr. Gallagher would say, you shouldn't have maybe worked at the bar. I worked at the Silver Bullet, like I think 2 nights a week at one point. I was working the Silver Bullet. What else did I do in Oneonta? I was like doing a lot of things. Like, so I was on but I don't regret that. I was on the e-board for the Music Industry Club for 2 years. So I made a lot of friends with musicians that are like touring right now, and they're like almost basically famous, which is pretty cool. And they're my friends. And so when I go to like meet up with when it was like kind of freshly graduated, I'd meet up with people, and they'd be like, so how's your music industry major degree treating you? I'm like, no, I was a physics major. So people didn't really think I was a physics major. I used to take photos for the bands. So I like had other interests, not just physics. So I think that's okay to do that. But maybe if I wanted to know more physics, I probably should have done more physics at school. What else did I was on RSO for 2 years. I was president of the physics club when we had no budget. And I think it was Dr. LeBreau said, can you just be the physics like president, like the like club president for a year? I was like, okay. It was pretty cool. They gave me opportunities. We went to conferences. I remember we drove up to Buffalo once for a conference. I was able to go to Tampa for a conference, which is pretty awesome. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Yes.
I did have a question.
I'm sorry.
Coming back to your time when you were working on your master's thesis, you said you
Yes.
were working with deuterium.
Yeah.
Did you ever try tasting it?
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's supposed to taste a little sweeter than regular water.
It was very expensive, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very expensive, and it was only like a couple of drops. The guy was like, this is really expensive. I'm like, okay. So I did it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions? So what's your majors here right now? You're students, right? What are you?
Like we're all physics majors.
Yeah, all physics majors. You made you come. Wait, I didn't even look at the chat. I don't know. Nishweb?
Nathaniel Schwepp.
Nathaniel?
Nate Schwepp.
Those guys should ask more questions because they're not here.
Well, he just wrote engineering 3.2, physics education. What does that mean? It's not even a sentence.
Who's in physics?
I was originally an engineering 3.2 major. Do you know, you would know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just said I'm just doing physics.
Because you didn't want to do engineering.
I know, I didn't want to do engineering. Yeah, so I don't know, are they still there? I don't know what those are. They're not even questions. There's no question mark there or anything.
They'll probably ask something soon.
Okay.
When you were here, did you ever think about teaching?
No, I never did. Also, what? Yeah. Yes, I never thought I was teaching. And then you were like, and I think I came back because I would constantly come back to something else because I liked it so much better than Binghamton. And you were like, well, you're not doing like a TA thing at Binghamton. I'd be like, I'm so scared. I can't do that. I'm so scared. And yeah, so I was like so scared. And my mom also said to me just recently, she's like, it's pretty amazing that you're teaching because I thought like on the first day you'd call me and be like, I just can't go back. And I just kept going. But it's mostly because of all the physics teachers I teach with, they're so supportive and helpful. And it was just, and the guy that hired me, my assistant principal at the time, he was very supportive and I'd go to his office a lot and I tell him I'm like stressed out or whatever. And then he'd go into like tons of stories and I just listen to him talk the whole time. But it was helpful. Oh, I got it. Thanks. So Nathaniel is a 3-2 major. Sorry. And because I'm not looking at this. And Jeff is a physics education.
Oh.
So Jeff, do you have any like specific questions? You want to work at Brooklyn Tech? Well, and then I think so also Dr. French contacted me once and was like, we have these noise scholars, can we have like 2 of them come to your school and teach and like get a feel for what a New York City school is like? And my assistant principal now, the current one, to say like loves the chemistry guy. I forget his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I was ready to hire that guy.
Oh, yeah.
He was ready to hire, but I think he went back to like the higher level. He wants to do a higher level.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, and I ran into his mother at the Lake Katrine post office. Yeah, it was a very weird experience, but she's very nice. Yeah.
Jeff is a voice scholar.
Oh, is he?
I think, yeah.
He's not saying anything. But
You have to ask something.
Jeff, you have to ask something. That's what Dr. Gallagher says. Okay.
So
Well, physics is hard though, right? Is it hard? Is it hard? Don't give up. Don't give up. You can do it. Because I was not the A student, okay? They can tell you, right? Right? I was not I was like a C student, probably B, C, right?
And now you're teaching at one of the best science high schools in the country.
Yeah. And they're amazing students. They're so awesome. And they think I'm so smart for some reason. I don't know. Oh, thank you. No, they're great. They're so great. Yeah, it's just a really good, it's really, oh, here, it's a lot of things was written. Look, I know how to work Zoom. Okay, so Jeff's asking this and I feel like Mark should answer this question. I know it's different because you work at a high level school, but have you noticed any differences in students' abilities since coming back from virtual learning? For me, I think that they're very attached to their phones even more than before, like very like it's got like gotta put the phones away. Like it's a hard fight to fight. So I haven't really bought it as much as I should, but I've noticed that and they always want to just look up answers online all the time. Like that's why they're attached to their phones. Cause like I think they were learning online and they want to look up answers online. Like that's, and it's like hard to break them of that habit, but I've been trying. But Mark, would you like to say something about this? Because it'd be helpful for Jeff.
Yeah, I noticed the phone.
Well, so wait, my husband works at a high school also.
Yeah.
What kind of high school do you work at?
It's an engineering school. And they can get a free associate's degree. I don't know if they can hear me, but they can get a free associate's degree if they stay at my school. We're part of the local community college, the Wardy Community College in Astoria, Queens. Yeah, the maturity level is a lot lower because they missed like I teach 9th grade, so they missed 7th grade, some of them missed 8th grade. So I'm basically teaching middle school. And their academic overall, their academic level is much lower, which is very challenging as a teacher, but we're getting through it. I don't know, it's like I said, it's just like one day at a time, and
Yeah,
it's a struggle. It's a struggle for them too, and it's not their fault. That's why I constantly remind myself that it's like, it's not their fault that they were, kind of essentially traumatized by COVID, but as we all were in some way.
yeah. But I mean, as the performance level of my students, I think are what it was. I don't really
That's
notice
the best of
that.
the best.
I know, they're awesome.
So,
Yeah,
good question, Jeff. So how do you handle that difference? I
it's-
mean,
A struggle, so I chose to be a high school teacher for a reason. I didn't want to be a middle school teacher, which is essentially what I'm doing. But it's just a lot more structure in the lesson. Like usually it used to be like, I'd be like, all right, because I teach with X robots, so we basically like build robots. I teach that, like trick them into learning like algebra and stuff, which is fun. It can be fun. But I used to build this like, all right, go build, here's like all the stuff you need. Go build for like an hour, and I would just be able to kind of just like sit back and like, ask the questions. But now it's like, all right, this 5 minutes, we're doing this. This 5 minutes, next 5 minutes, we're doing just a lot more. A lot more structure. They're kind of like younger. It's a struggle.
thinking that you didn't, I don't know if there's another question there, but I have 20, so.
no, there's no question. No, I was seeing if Jeff said something.
Recognizing that you didn't even consider teaching while you were here,
Yeah.
but knowing what you know now, is there an activity here you wish you had done to explore it?
I'm not sure that it, but I don't think I was like ready to teach because I was so scared of talking in front of people. And I think the thing that helped me a lot with talking in front of people was my master's thesis. Like that was like really, the night before I wasn't even gonna, I was like, I can't do this, and I mean, I did it and I got through it, and that kind of like, so ever since that point, I can say, okay, I did that. Like I can do really anything. And then also, I don't know that I would have just like wanted to go into education. I like that I got a master's in physics, and I really like physics, and now I get to be around physics like all the time, and like my coworkers help. It's because most like high schools you're the only physics teacher, so it's like nice to be around people that love it too. So yeah.
How wide a range does Brooklyn Tech draw from the entire 5 boroughs?
Yes.
And it's competitive application?
Yeah, they have to take this test, and that's what people like. That's what's controversial about it, is that like not all students get the same opportunity to take this test, and I think so. They discussed like taking the test away, but I don't think that's the solution. I think it's educating at a lower level and getting students to like think, oh yeah, I can go to Brooklyn Tech. Not even even in elementary school, like to start, this is, opportunities for you. And my Brooklyn Tech does a, what? But Brooklyn Tech does a program, which I actually worked one summer because Mark was working, and I was like, I'm just gonna stay at home. And so I taught students going into 7th grade. And so like they pull from like the neighborhood students going into junior high school. Oh, I guess 6th grade. They're going into 6th grade. I don't even remember. But they're pulling from the students that are like the higher level students in the neighboring high schools, and they're giving them a program so I think it was 7th grade, because for 2 years, getting them interested in STEM. So I was teaching like I was doing a Rube Goldberg with them and building a bridge, and then at the same time during the school year, or like even during the summer level, like they're running test prep for Brooklyn Tech too. So having programs like that for other students, I think is like the way to go. Like just improving everybody, like getting everybody there, I think is the solution. Because I think Brooklyn Tech is an amazing place, and I think taking away from the tests, I don't know the solution to that, but I do know that it's not like 100%, it's not really fair, but what's the solution? Let's figure it out. Just don't take an environment where kids can be nerds. Like they're all like, it's like they try to be cool, but then it's like, you're nerds. It's so funny. You're taking AP physics. I don't know.
You're cool. Because I think it's interesting. At our peak, we were almost 6,000 students. We have almost 300 faculty, a little more than 300. I feel the same as yours.
Yeah,
6 are physics, you have 15.
yeah,
It's kind of amazing.
yeah.
And it depends.
At one point, we had 19 physics teachers because the principal, this other principal, well, the other principal put AP physics. So they remember when they broke, I don't know if you know that much about high school things that are happening, but they broke AP Physics B into AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2. So when that happened, it was running as an introductory class. Anyone can take it. And they were acting like it was so easy, but then it was like such a hard AP test. And they were saying you could do a double single, like not, so we had to fight for double periods like every day because it wasn't enough time to teach the content. And then he put AP Physics in like every single major. He's like, oh, the physics department's awesome. We're just making everybody take AP Physics 1, basically. It seemed like everybody was taking it. So we had 19 physics teachers at like one time. Yeah. Yeah. Physics teachers, yeah. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Is there any other questions? No questions there. You have more?
Of course.
Okay.
What's your sense of the field now? There are opportunities for physics teachers?
Yeah, you always need a physics teacher. Somebody's leaving my department right now. We need a physics teacher. We need.
With teachers in general, there's like such a teacher shortage, I'm sure, again, I don't know if it's the same at Tower level, but across the whole country, really, not just.
Certainly upstate too, there's a lot of opportunities for jobs,
Yeah,
but people don't go into teaching.
yeah. There's a stigma.
Yeah.
What about the physics majors? You don't have any questions about me majoring in physics?
Good attitude.
What are y'all gonna do with, what do you plan to do afterwards, after school? Yeah, I mean, are you like, oh, I know I didn't.
Clearly, I didn't know.
Michael, besides the physics test you take,
Trying to someone mind me.
sitting here right now, what do you think you would like to do?
As of right now, I'm kind of toying with the idea of going to grad school at some point. Not sure for what, but I have a lot of thoughts kicking around, and they're all in different directions, so it's impossible for me to decide.
Brian, did you give it any thought?
I got no clue.
No clue.
Yeah,
I had no clue too.
and maybe master's.
That's why I got my master's though, because I had no clue.
That's why I went to grad school.
Nice.
I was afraid to not be in school.
Yeah, I love school. I wish I could come back to Oneonta and go to school. It looks so, this building is so nice.
It sounds like you had a really supportive parent in
Oh,
your
yeah.
life.
Yeah,
Suppose you didn't have that though.
yeah.
Take that factor out of your life. Where would you be?
I'm not really sure, but I think I'd be a different person. Maybe I'd be less anxious about things. You know, I was just like, I don't know, maybe I'm not blaming on my mom for being anxious about things, but like you're saying if I was an anxious person and I didn't have my mother, I don't know where I would be. I have no idea. But I will tell you, my mother wanted me to go for environmental science. She did not want me to go for physics. Well, because she liked environment. It was like she wanted to do that, you know? And I got into ESF, which is, I think was hard to get into at the time. And we toured, both my parents wanted to go to ESF. But I was so nervous to go to college. I ended up going here because my cousin went here. and I roomed with my cousin. I mean, this is just so there. I would have found someone to go to college with, I guess. I don't know. Is that a good answer? I don't know.
Well, it just indicates if you don't have a support
Yeah.
in your typical fashion like a parent, you can pick up the support elsewhere and keep on going.
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as a teacher, do you think you're better off since you have like a straight physics degree, like to start off with instead of a teaching physics degree?
Yeah, I think I feel cooler than everyone else. I know, I feel like, I always feel like I don't know, I'm a person that, I don't feel like I'm that smart, I don't know, I don't know. Everyone's always like, you're smart, you know a lot, but I feel like I don't really know a lot of things, but what I don't really accept is that a lot of people don't know a lot of things, but somebody in my department's always like, you're the one holding the highest degree in the department now. Because the other masters of physics, she quit last mid-year, so yeah, so
So most people have a master's in teaching.
yeah, I know, yeah. But I mean, I think it might help teaching a little bit. Okay. If you were going to teach at a school that didn't have supportive teachers, like having that education and teaching probably would be very helpful. But I have such support. I think I could even get that support if I was, I mean, hopefully from non-physics teachers. You know, it's kind of like the teaching is, you learn while you're doing it. The first year is going to be really horrible. The first year is so hard. Also, the first year of teaching any new class is like really hard. So like when I started teaching AP Physics 1, I had no idea what I was doing. Got a little better. Dr. French saw me like probably 2 or 3 years into teaching class.
That was a great class. We did those spinner things.
Yeah.
You know, the one that you got,
Yeah.
centripetal force.
Yeah.
The stopper ones.
Yes, the stopper, yeah.
That was really fun. And the
Yeah.
students were into it.
Yeah, they're into things every day. Like, I just let them do things. Like, just like, go do things. Don't talk to me. No, I talk to them. Yeah. Is that a good answer though?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
So you still like teaching? You're not looking for another career now?
Good question. Mark? We have to move.
Wait, you
Mark
drive from
does not
Kingston
like
to-
New York State.
You drive Kingston and Brooklyn every day?
No, I live in Manhattan.
Okay.
So we bought a house upstate though. Like, I'm lucky. I live in 2 places, I guess, but
All right.
but Mark doesn't want to live in the city, so I have to move soon. Next year I'm moving. No, it's not your fault. We have to get out of the city.
My kids live in Manhattan. It costs so much money.
Oh, you want to hear this side of the story too? It does really cost a lot of money, but I'm really lucky. I live in a rent stabilized apartment where my mother grew up in. I mean, it's rent stabilized, not rent controlled. So
It goes up.
it increases, but not that much.
Depends on how much it will go up, and I think the cap is like 8%, so it doesn't go up much. It's supposed to be like with inflation. Versus rent control, it doesn't change. It's like your rent. So ours goes up, but not. Sorry.
Yeah, so I live in my grandmother's apartment in Manhattan. I'm lucky. I know how lucky I am. Yeah, but it is also my hometown. So shouldn't I be able to live in my hometown? I don't know.
You live in Manhattan?
I live in Manhattan, yeah, First Avenue, 19th Street.
First 719?
Yeah, do you know Stuyvesant Town?
Yeah, that's like 7 blocks from where my kids live.
Oh, really? We should say hi to each other. Yeah, that's where I grew up. My parents live in the apartment I grew up in 3 floors above me. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Livia, do you have a question?
Yeah, Olivia, come on.
How long have you been at Brooklyn Tech?
This is my 12th year. Yeah.
12?
Yeah. I'm pretty
Seriously?
old. Yeah.
Then it was like 4.
This is my 12th year. Yes. 12 years.
That started when arrived there are now going to graduate.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the first graders will be in high
Yeah.
school.
So you kind of said it's sort of normal to not know what you want to do. So
Yeah, it is. I think so.
Yeah.
I tell my students that too in high school. They think that they need to have their whole life planned out. And I'm like, just do something you want to study. Like, I just, I mean, maybe not just anything, because I am a person that probably could have gone through art school. Like, I'm a person with two sides, I think. Like, I could have done art. I think could I have done art?
Of course,
Yeah. Yeah, see? Yeah. So, but I mean, it's kind of like, maybe I didn't go that path because I wanted to be able to have a job more than other things. But I think that if you like something that you're doing, you should do it. If there's options for you after you get through school, I don't know, I try to tell my students you can't, because they have to, I guess because they're deciding on a major, and then they go to school and they're like, oh, this is our major. I don't know, you're going to school, you're like, this is our major. No, stick with physics though, okay? Don't not do physics. But yeah, you're a physics major too? How's it going?
I mean, every 4 years.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you know what you're doing?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, we have 2 seniors that are graduating this May.
it's not easy, right? No, but you did it. That's awesome.
You're from Brooklyn, aren't you, Danny?
Where'd you go to high school?
I went there, things, honestly.
You what?
I went there, things.
You went to Queens?
Yeah.
Where in
Oh,
Queens?
sorry, high school.
Yeah, where? Which one?
It's a Sardo High School.
Oh, okay.
A chain of high schools.
Okay, cool. But you know Brooklyn Tech, right? Yeah, see? I was just so weird. Everybody, you run into people that went to Brooklyn Tech. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway.
Well, I think it's time to thank our speaker and let Jared and Michael get back to work.
It's time
Yeah,
for
they have
the
a
test.
physics test.
Yeah.
Dr. Gallagher.
Which class is this?
Physics too. Physics too, yeah.
Exciting. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome. Oh, wait, somebody asked a question. I feel really bad. Do you have any advice for someone going into the first year of teaching? Jeff,
I was just making
Oh,
sure.
Jeff had a question.
Jeff has a
Still
question.
there?
Yeah, Jeff, are you still there? Can you just type yes or no? Because I'll talk to you. Oh, so I think that you should definitely don't do it alone. Talk to people around you.
Borrow and steal.
Beg, borrow, and steal. It's okay. Hopefully you know someone that would help you have the slides or something, or a curriculum, and ask them questions. And don't try to do everything by yourself, because you're going to be up all night long doing things by yourself. Do it if you can model after someone, at least at first, that's really helpful, and then go off and do your own thing. She was a teacher too. Yeah.
Don't grade everything.
Great advice.
Don't grade it first.
Don't grade everything also. Takes too long.
That's my story.
Oh, you're welcome. And also, if they want to give you my email address, you can ask me. I can help you if you need anything. Jeff, yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You were so right, the first year of teaching high school. It's brutal.
Yeah. You'll get through it though. Don't give up.
And because everyone is easier after.
Yes. Yeah.
And also the first time you're doing it, prep.
Yes.
Yep.
I think I had you for a new prep 1 year too. It was computer, it was MATLAB with physics or something.
So you took computational
Yeah,
physics.
yeah.
It was. Okay,
You did express that to us multiple times, that this was the first time you're teaching it. And Mike Sander and Kyle Bright were kind of doing the MATLAB thing really well. So yeah.
Alexander came back to talk.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's like up in windmills, right?
Yeah, he's the head of GE's.
He's got a new job on LinkedIn, I saw.
Oh, gee, really?
Yeah, that's like he got a promotion.
So I think he was the head of General Electric's, this isn't the right term, but wind turbine repair group.
Okay.
So, every time they have an issue, they almost have to design an entirely new solution because these things are enormous and they've got to get down heavy stuff and he likes to climb them and rappel from them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so no, it's not that. Yeah, his talk was very interesting too.
Yeah.
To think about that area. And I think he went to Binghamton with mechanical.
I was with him in
He
Binghamton.
was in
Oh, you
Binghamton,
were?
yeah.
I did not-
So when I graduated, he was doing his 3-2. So we spent 2 years at Binghamton together with Kyle Bright. Yeah.
Yeah, now he's the principal equipment engineer at General, so it's a promotion.
But he said,
It's Austin's spot. Yeah, he's up there.
somebody's,
Still working with GE. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Well, it says he does, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were in the,
Oh, he moved from GE.
yeah,
He switched to
General.
Regeneron, yeah.
Regeneron is, we were just talking about,
My nephew used to
who's
work
gonna
there as
come
a
to the
chemist.
picnic. Ray Hartman,
Yeah.
went to Regeneron recently too. So is,
Joe Peterson's coming to the picnic too.
I know that guy.
Casey,
Yeah, I know that guy. He's still a teacher though.
he might be. He was applying to be state trooper too.
Oh, I thought he was, last I heard he was, well, it was a long time ago, but he was like teaching at Woodbury Commons
Yeah,
area or
that's where he
something.
was, yeah.
I just gave Jeff my email address, okay?
Oh, that's
He
nice.
said, thanks a bunch.
When would you say most of your students leaving Brooklyn Tech? Broadly speaking, where do they end up? Where do they go?
Like colleges, I feel like I would like to see more of that. I think the college office knows more, but like I write recommendations and they sometimes tell me it's like, I'm writing you a recommendation. You should just tell me where you're going to school. Like this year I had a student get into MIT. Who's going to MIT. I think I have 2 students that are going to MIT from last year. And then I don't know, they mostly go to like these really good colleges, but I'm always like SUNY Oneonta. I tell them all the time. I say, I've seen SUNY Binghamton and I've seen SUNY Oneonta. SUNY Oneonta is winning, always.
All right.
Yeah, I say it all the time. I say I had the best time ever. I love the professors there. It's a smaller school where like you're not going to be in a giant like auditorium learning these like introductory courses. Like you're really, the professors and they're all, have doctorates and they're amazing people. You say that. And the music industry club and music industry major. Like it's kind of cool hanging out with the musicians and I don't know. Yeah.
thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. It was nice to meet all of you.
Maybe you'll see one or two. Applying at Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
University of Minnesota, like, you're starting.
Should I end this Zoom meeting?
Yes.
Bye, Jeff.
2,000 people in that version. And that's what we'll start out this semester.
it's Saturday.
Welcome.